So hello everybody, welcome here. Let's hand it over to our children writers who are going to introduce Dave, Nick, and Roddy. So Salim, would you introduce Dave Eggers, please?
Dave Eggers is an author who became well known for his book, A Heartbroken Work of Staggering Genius. He wanted to make a writing center for young people to help his tired and stressed teacher friends give his students more creative opportunities. It was called 826 as that was the street number. Now there are 826 centers all over America. Give us a cheer if you're from one.
Great, thanks. And Alec is going to introduce Roddy Doyle.
Roddy Doyle first became famous for his book, The Commitments, which is about a group of Irish teenagers who make a soul band. It was made into a successful film and a musical version called Right Now, which is showing in the West End right now. He has written many other award-winning best-selling books, such as Paddy Clark, Ha Ha Ha, and The Van. He decided to set up his own writing centre for young people called Fighting Words in Dublin in 2009. There is now a branch in Belfast too.
Thank you, Alec. And Ella is going to introduce Nick Hornby.
Nick Hornby is a novelist and screenplay writer who lives just around the corner from us in London. He is a famous Arsenal fan and even wrote a book about being an obsessive gooner called FIFA Pitch. Many of his stories have been made into big Hollywood films, such as High Fidelity and About a Boy. He started the Ministries of Stories in 2010, which lurks behind the door of Hoxton Street Monster Supplies.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you very much. So now we have the questions. Ella, you have a question for Nick?
What do you do when you're not writing?
Well, I watch Arsenal obsessively. I watch them more than they even play. I'm that obsessed. I have 3 sons, so a lot of life is involved with that. And then I guess I do things that you probably do, like I read quite a lot. I watch TV. I listen to music, that kind of thing.
This question's for Dave. Have you ever seen somebody reading one of your books?
I can maybe once or twice. I think it's like every 7 years I see somebody in an airport usually reading it and reading something, and you can't say anything. It would be very creepy, I think, to do that. You'd definitely spoil the experience. I think you want to disappear as much as possible.
I have another question for you. And why did you decide to set up your writing center?
The teachers that I knew kept saying they just needed more people, more bodies in the classroom, more eyes on the work, more human-to-human contact, one-on-one attention. So I just thought about people like this that, laze about all day and don't have enough work on their plate and have flexible hours and really need to be made useful in society for once. So I thought about all those people I knew, and I thought we could sort of, make them, somewhat useful and work with the schools. And so we found this place, like you mentioned, and built the pirate store. And it became this place that was not just for struggling students, but for students like yourselves who are really interested in writing outside of the classroom and are really creative. So to have everybody commingling and inspiring each other, it's worked out pretty well so far.
And another reason is it's really enjoyable. It's really enjoyable, being in the company of children. Some children. You 3 and 2 others.
Well, I'm pretty much the same as Roddy, that I was a friend of Dave's, and Dave asked me to go down and have a look at what was going on. And I fell in love with 826, and I could see that it was a brilliant thing for kids. What I thought too was that it was a brilliant thing for adults, because as a writer, you get stuck on your own a lot. You work on your own all day, and sometimes you meet other writers at places, but you don't meet illustrators, you don't meet musicians, and everything that Dave was doing, he seemed to be messing things up a little bit. So I'd done some fundraisers for McSweeney's and for 826, and got to hang out with people from lots of different disciplines, and that was very inspiring to me as well, to create a different kind of artistic community.
Alec, I think you had another question.
Out of interest, what do you think of the other people here and their books?
Yeah, I think that you tend to, I guess, get closer or gravitate to people that you whose work you like to read, because otherwise it's difficult. It would be a difficult friendship if you published another book that I don't like.
I met Nick first. I was sent a copy of his book Fever Pitch, and I thought it was brilliant. And I wrote a thing. I wrote, and you would have come across. I wrote this thing. Nick Hornby is that rare thing, an Arsenal supporter who can read and write. He got the joke, I think, and we met shortly after that, wasn't it? Really, and he had liked my book, so it's kind of. It's a relaxing thing, There's no rivalry or whatever. We just like each other's content.
And I think actually the writers involved in these projects are pretty self-selecting in terms of the kind of writers that they are and the kind of writing they do. I can think of lots of writers in England who wouldn't get involved with anything like the Ministry of Stories, and I'm sure you can think of some in America too.
This question's for anyone to answer. Which book are you most proud of, and why?
I think the one I'm proud of is the fourth one, the book called The Woman Who Walked Into Doors, because it was written from the point of view of a woman. And I'm not a woman. And I was never a woman, not even for an afternoon. So it took a lot of hard work to imagine being a woman and choosing the words right. And I never thought about it then for a long time after I'd finished it, but it settled almost into my stomach. I felt years later, that's probably the best thing I'll ever do. Which in a way is depressing, because life goes on and you kill her off. So you've made me sad asking that question.
I don't think I wrote a story between the ages of 11 and 18 when I was at school. 11 and 18. I didn't write a story after the age of 11 until I started trying to write as a grown-up. My creativity was squashed at school. And I think that happened in a lot of schools in this part of the world. And I think you guys are luckier with your education. You're lucky, of course, with the ministry and so on. But I think schools are just way better than they were. And I think if you want to write, you'll get there quicker than we managed. I think all of us work in different media on this stage.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about writing is that everybody needs a writer, whether it's for the theatre, whether it's for movies, whether it's rap lyrics, whether it's video games. Writing is at the bottom of it. And so we're in a job where we can switch from this to that to that. And I agree with Roddy. I think we should make the most of it whenever we can.
Exactly.
Thank you. So I do thank you, Ella, Saline, and Alec, our question masters. And I thank Roddy, Dave, and Nick for your great answers as well.